In this video, we will start looking at the services that public cloud offers, and we will look at how we can consume these services based on their relative advantages and implications. So, to start with, let's categorize the services of the cloud vendors into categories which make it easy for us to understand what to consume when. By the way, when I say public cloud, while this conventionally refers to the likes of Amazon, Microsoft, Google, etc., based on the category of service that we are consuming, we could also be consuming from specific third-party companies as well, which are themselves hosting their services on the public cloud. So, in a nutshell, cloud providers is going to be used in a way that's referring to both the public cloud providers as well as the software companies that are built up on top of public cloud. Okay, so with that said, let's look at the categories themselves. So the way to understand the category is to look at what is the fundamental capability that they provide as a service for you to consume, right? So what does it mean to provide something as a service? It means that you don't have to pay enormous upfront cost trying to procure for yourself. Instead, you can rent it on a meter, right? Just like we spoke about how the building owner decides to rent his building to a tenant based on the meter of time, right? So he gives it out for a specific time period, like on a monthly basis, you have to pay this much amount of money. Likewise, the cloud providers provide certain capabilities on a rental model. That's what is called as a service. Now, if you take that same building owner example, not just time, but there is also another meter associated with that building, which is the extent of the building that you take up on rent. So let's say, for instance, it's a multi-story apartment, right? And you're interested only in one specific unit in the third floor. It makes no sense for you to rent the entire apartment. So that kind of a setup, the square footage that you are interested in is what you get metered on. So per square foot per month becomes a combination meter on which your rent is calculated. Likewise, you can think about certain types of services which have more complex metering systems based on which the rent is computed and then the cloud provider charges you for it. That complexity depends upon what is it that you are consuming as a service. So let's take a look at what those options are. For ease of representation, I've just called out the category name itself as a list item below, but refer to that as a blank. Instead of representing as a blank, I've just called it X. So X as a service should be read as blank as a service, where the blank is being filled in options 1, 2, 3 that I'm going to talk about in a minute. But if you abbreviate as an acronym, basically it comes as XaaS, right? AaaS is just the acronym for as a service. Great. What are the three categories? Infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So IaaS, PaaS, PaaS or PaaS, and SaaS or SaaS. So IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. That's how it's conventionally referred to. So public cloud providers like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, etc., they provide a lot of options for infrastructure as a service. Variety of different types of options. I'm talking about like CPUs and GPUs, different types of them, memories and disks, different types of them, network, and so on and so forth, right? Varieties of different types. Because that's how they originated, and that's the most mature offering. So the example here in Amazon would be something like EC2. EC2 is like one of the oldest technologies of Amazon and one of the most mature, one of the most stable as well. So yeah, EC2 is a good example of infrastructure as a service. What does EC2 provide? It provides the ability for you to rent a machine at its lowest unit of metering, which is CPUs, right? CPUs and memory, basically, both of those put together. Now, public cloud providers also provide a lot of options for platform as a service, but not as many as infrastructure as a service. The example here would be anytime you see a database like MySQL or Postgres being provided by a public cloud, usually that's called as a database as a service or a platform as a service for database services. Then third, public cloud providers are themselves provide very little options for software as a service or SaaS, but there are so many third-party companies which have built SaaS software, right? Which means software as a service on top of public cloud vendors and offer that to you and me, right? So in fact, one of the recent studies has shown that SaaS software companies are the most popular category of B2B software companies, which is enterprise software companies or mid-market software companies, which are getting a lot of funding. Funding meaning support from venture capitalists to build more. And the reason for that is, like what I spoke about with Salesforce as the primary example earlier, right? The reason for this is the cash flows associated with these kinds of SaaS companies are very easy to understand, because you know that you can project that somebody would keep paying rent for renting your software based on those metering, right? And that rent will only keep increasing because the meter will keep increasing, right? You'll consume more because the square footage of, the number of customers that you are catering to will keep growing, and with number of customers growing, with the time that you work with that SaaS software growing, they will be able to charge you more and more rent over a period of time. So that kind of a model is a ever increasing cash flow model, which is very attractive for financiers, right? For whatever reason. So SaaS software, a very popular paradigm. In fact, a lot of startups today, like the examples of Freshworks and Zoho and Darwinbox and things like that, right? So many examples. All of them are SaaS software at the end of the day, because they abstract away all of the underlying complexities of the software, and they just give you software to consume based on very simple meters. So if I were to make an example in the world of building, right? So the way to understand infrastructure as a service is a building owner who just gives you the bare minimum plot of land, the cement, civil works construction on top of it, right? And then says that everything else is your responsibility. So that's an example of infrastructure as a service, which means you as a tenant can depend upon the land being available to you, right? Some portion of that land, the civil works being of good quality, good stability, so it's not going to crumble on top of you, hopefully. Water being available, sewage facilities being available, lighting, electricity basically being available, right? So that's infrastructure as a service. But then you'll have to do your own thing, which means you'll have to paint it, you'll have to put your own decorations, put your own furniture, put your own artwork, put your own toilets, wash basins, put your own lighting, fixtures, fans, and things like that, right? All of that is yours. Now, what is platform as a service? The example, using the same analogy, would be somebody like WeWork. WeWork will be an example of software as a service. Yeah, I'll take it back. Somebody who will give you an office space, right? But you will have to manage the facilities yourself, right? You'll have to worry about doing the hard work, doing the decor, putting the branding, making sure that the lift is maintained, the electricity plug points are maintained, etc., etc. But somebody who gives you that civil work ready-made, but also gives you a finished building in terms of like basic painting, in terms of accessible lift, in terms of stairway which is functional, which is safe, etc., etc. Right? The clearances are obtained for running 100 people office. So those things are there, but everything else is up to you. The software as a service part of the analogy could be somebody like WeWork, right? Or a co-working space or an office space kind of a model where they manage the entire thing for you, right? Which includes managing the facilities, keeping the lights on, keeping the cleaning done on a proper schedule, giving you coffee, making sure the spills are taken care of, the toilets are well maintained, etc., etc. Right? And that kind of a setup, the entire office space is given to you as a service, including attendance systems, login, logout systems, room booking systems, meeting room systems, etc. Right? And all you have to do is just pay per seat, right? You don't have to worry about paying electricity separately, paying rent separately, paying for attendance software separately, paying for the maintenance, person separately, their salary separately, nothing. All you have to do is just pay for your seat because you're taking one seat or you're taking 10 seats. That's it, right? You don't have to worry about anything else.